Hello, a big welcome to everybody here, and thanks for joining us here and supporting all of the wonderful work young people are doing this week. Whether you've been involved in small, meaningful advocacy or larger scale campaigns, we invite you this week to recognise the work we're doing and encourage an upcoming year with just as much drive to make positive changes in youth social action on the 10th anniversary of iwill. Today, we kick off iwill Week with the Next Big Thing film premiere and talkback. I'm iwill Troy, and this is Fatima, and will be your host for today's event, which is part of a series of events taking place for iwill Week, where we're looking forward to the next decade of youth social action. So make sure to visit iwill.org.uk to see the full list of events.
At iwill, we have a shared vision that young people are equipped and enabled to shape and lead change. The theme for iwill Week this year is what if the next big thing is actually lots of little things. This is all about recognizing that it's never just one big thing that creates social change. It takes lots of things, and often lots of little things to make social change. This means each and every one of us has a role to play in achieving our shared vision because all of our social action matters. Today's film has been filmed, directed, edited, and produced by iwill Ambassador Claire. She has interviewed iwill ambassadors from all over the UK, asking them all about the next big thing. It has brought together passionate young people to talk about their experiences in social action, sharing what positive changes they have been able to make, as well as how it has changed them. The film will be followed by a talkback with Claire and iwill ambassadors featured in the film. We invite you to join in the conversation by using the chat box and adding to any questions you might wish to ask some of the ambassadors involved in the film, who will be joining us after the premiere. So without further ado, sit back and enjoy the film.
Good afternoon, Ministers. Good afternoon, delegates. Good afternoon, organisers, and to all the young people in the room today.
Speak to people in Parliament or go down to London, speak to people, try and make a change.
To go to decision makers and say, this is what we want, let's get it done, and have that voice, have that influence.
Take what I've learned and my passion, and I wanted to use that to make a difference.
I just couldn't picture where I'd be right now if I hadn't have started this journey.
When I first got started, I wasn't very confident in social action, but I think being part of the iwill movement and all the other things I've done, it's really helped me develop as a person.
And my social actions really changed me completely.
I feel like it's made me a better leader because I am better at understanding what other people want and how I can help others.
Hearing other people's stories and what they think about their issues that they faced and the things that they have to overcome, I think that's made me change my own views on certain issues, and I think that's really good.
Social activism has really given me a purpose when I was at quite a low time.
Being able to reach out and advocate for young people, particularly surrounding a difficult topic about disability, it has made me realise I'm a part of something bigger, a community.
I used to be the girl in school that could go a whole week without speaking, and now I love public speaking. I love getting involved in projects. I'm constantly trying to find a new project to get involved in, and I've also realised the value young people have to this society.
Because I found something that I was really passionate about, for me, that generally focused on children's rights and issues surrounding that, that really inspired me to go and develop those skills and have to take that platform and take those opportunities.
And then as a leader, really be cautious and think about, what type of leader I want to be and how I want to show up in the world and the impact that I want to make in the world.
Volunteering and stuff within politics throughout my degree has really helped me in my assignments and really helped me excel in my degree.
I think the power of storytelling has completely changed my perspective on youth social action work, because how are we meant to learn and know what's going on around us and what we can get involved in if we don't tell our stories?
Social action is important to me because it empowers me to have a voice. to be heard, and it also empowers me to speak up about issues that young people face.
Social action is about giving people a voice.
Because I want to touch the lives of those who are possibly suffering in silence.
So social action to me is very important because as someone who's grew up in the care system, I felt like my voice was taken away from me. So I constantly had adults kind of making decisions on my behalf and not giving me a kind of a voice in those decisions.
Social action is important to me because it was my way of finding my voice and being able to be the person to others that my past self needed.
What really started to get me interested in being more involved in social action comes from my personal experiences and the experiences of those in my community. For example, I'm someone who's very passionate about inclusivity and accessibility.
For me, social action is important because it's the vehicle that allowed me to see just how much I'm capable of achieving as a young person.
A lot of the time, young people in our society aren't really listened to, but social action gives me and my peers the opportunity to really make a difference in something that they care about.
Social action is important to me because as a young person, I find that often our voices aren't heard as much, and they're very important for shaping our future because it's us that's going to live in that future.
People are talking about them around a table. A young person should be at that meeting and they should be involved in those conversations that are impacting them.
Social activism is important to me because every young person has the ability and the possibility within them to be a real force for positive social change, and I think that everyone should be able to have that and be a part of that and be a part of something bigger than themselves.
Social action is really important because I believe all decisions that affect young people, they should be involved in, and that's from government all the way down to the youth workers that are working with them on a daily basis.
One thing that's kept me going through this journey is the people I've met. I have so many new friends that I would never have met if I didn't do social action, and they all are so passionate and so inspiring. It's really amazing.
You find that calmness and motivation when you get to hear other people's stories and their backgrounds and what gives the fuel to their fires, and it's so encouraging to work alongside so many amazing people, and it's something that's kept me going.
You see so many young people and they're all so passionate about everything they do, and they all want to make changes, and they dream and they have hopes of a better future.
Writing my feelings meant that I was able to kind of look after myself and my own mental health, and if I'm able to look after my own mental health and manage that, then I'm able to help other people's mental health and give back to others. So I think looking after me has been a key part of me looking after other people.
Every day I kind of aim to, well, if I make someone happy or if I make one positive change on one person's life, then it's been a successful day.
I'm doing social action. I have met wonderful people within the disability community and they inspire me every single day.
I think what's inspired me most is that when I make a difference to someone else's life and how happy they can be, and it's just kept me going to see more people being happy. I can help them humongously just by a tiny thing I can do.
Knowing that I can help others in a way that would have really helped me and changed things for me is something that really keeps me going.
And there's been little conversations in my life which that little conversation has completely changed my perspective on something, but that person's just continued with their day having no clue of the impact, and you don't know the impact that you're having on other people around you. If you want to get involved in social action, I would first of all 100% recommend it because it will absolutely change your life. It has 100% changed my life. And I've met so many amazing people, I've had the best time, and I've also actually managed to make change in my community.
Do social action how it works for you.
You don't have to go to Parliament, you don't have to speak to the Prime Minister, you don't have to do all of those big things to make a change in someone's life.
There's a way that you can turn that frustration that you might have because of the challenges you face into strength, and that is so powerful, and others that listen to you and that follow your guidance will find that so powerful and inspiring.
Article 12 of the UNCRC, you have the right to be heard and listened to, and to make your voices and your priorities known on all of these different issues that we face in the world.
Another thing would be to be kind to yourself and don't be too harsh on yourself, and also be kind to others because it will come back to you. If you're really passionate about something, people will see it and you will move forwards.
Simple things really do make a big difference.
Posting on social media is such an easy way to kickstart things, and you can post on your social media and then that can reach, it's really easy for that to then reach a lot of different people.
There's so many young people on social media, so it's so easy to get information across and to spread awareness.
Go for it right now.
Definitely do it. Like, I think we're all activists inside us. There's always that one thing that you're really passionate about, or there's that one thing that you would love to see changed. And I think just don't be afraid to get yourself out there.
And also just helping within your local community. There's so many local organisations you could get involved with.
Seriously, just get in touch with your local youth organisation. That's what I did.
It's the little things that we're doing that are making the biggest impact, because at the end of the day, we're almost like a drop in the ocean. If we all do our part, then we create an ocean of movement, and I think that's so powerful.
Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed the film. I know I certainly felt that I could connect to its message. It's inspiring to see how much work and dedication has gone into this film, and also the commitment to social action as a whole. We are now joined by the members of the panel who I invite to introduce themselves with maybe your name, age, and where you're based. So if we start with Claire, and you can pass it on to the next ambassador.
Hi, my name is Claire. I am from Manchester, but now based in London. I am 19, and I will pass on to Kevin.
Hi, my name is Kevin. So I'm originally from Northern Ireland, and I'm based in Cardiff in Wales. And yeah, that's a bit about me. And pass it on to Finlay.
Thank you. Hello, my name's Finlay. I'm one of Scotland's iwill ambassadors. I'm now 18 years old. I'll pass on to Tamar.
Hi, I'm Tamar. I'm based in Manchester and I'm 16 years old. And
Thank you so much. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, thank you. Sorry for that. Thank you for those intros. It's nice to meet you all. To the audience, you can use the chat box for any questions for the panel, and the film will be available in the delegate bag to rewatch.
I have some questions for Claire. And why was making this film important, Claire?
Gosh, I've been trying not to cry through watching the film. The next big thing is the culmination of so many conversations, years and years of conversations within the movement, with other fellow ambassadors, with the young people who haven't yet got involved, and with young people who are now leading from their homes, from the organizations that they've started. And yeah, it has meant a lot to me, an incredible amount to me, to be able to make this film, because I've had such an incredible experience in getting involved in social action and being a young change maker. And I really hope that this film allows other people to take that first step and to know that they don't have to make massive things or campaigns or works to make an impact. And yeah, it's been really special.
Oh, it's very, very unspecial, Claire, definitely. And what themes and ideas emerged from speaking to the ambassadors in the process?
I think one of my favorite things that came out of this process was the amount of ambassadors who talked about the community that we have, about the young people that inspire them to do the work. And actually, we support each other so much more than we realize. And that was something that came out immediately. And it's a credit to all of the young people who put in effort and support each other as well. I think another big theme throughout this was about how we make our social action sustainable for ourselves. A lot of us are mobilizing our lived experience and making it so that other people don't experience the bad things that we have experienced. And in positive cases, making it so that other young people get to experience those good things, but that can be really emotionally taxing. And so many ambassadors provided such wonderful insights in how they make their social action sustainable and keep on going throughout this movement.
Wow, so inspiring, Claire. And what key messages or ideas would you like people to take away from watching this film?
I think social action is a part of us. So many ambassadors talked about their families instilling social responsibility into them, and the opportunities that they had in education to get involved, and how that's progressed to them being a part of the iwill movement. You can be a change maker from your bedroom, and there are so many resources available. You just have to go find them. And I think my main message, if there's anything that you get from this film, is that there is support out there to help you access those resources.
Thank you, Claire.
Okay, so it's really empowering to see others being so positively influenced by youth social action. And you've really inspired all of us here, whether we are already or not yet involved in it. To all the ambassadors now, where was your starting point in social action for those who might not be sure where to start? If we start maybe with Finley.
I'm happy to share my experience. My starting point was really derived from two places. The first was being a young person who was involved in different youth work services, and then the second also stemmed from being a young person who accessed independent advocacy services, because there was a time in my life where my voices wasn't being heard, I wasn't being listened to, and so I was able to take these experiences together and find something that I was passionate about and that was worth fighting for, and then was able to share that with other young people. And it's really just grew from then for lots of different opportunities that I've had the pleasure of experiencing.
That's brilliant, yeah, especially as you didn't have a voice and then you fought for a voice and then actually using that for positive change. That's brilliant. How about you, Tamar?
Well, in my experience, starting out in social action can sometimes be something you do on your own, but it can also really start on a smaller level and just progress. There's no one way to do it, there's no one size fits all. It's really just up to each an individual person what they're passionate about and what they want to speak their truth about and tell others. And I feel as though by one person stepping into it who's different and not like everyone else, that encourages other people that are similar to that person to think, well, if they can do it, so can I. So I think that's a very important message, and another reason why I started also.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Do you have anything to add to that, Claire?
So my social action started out really creatively, and if we asked that young version of me if she was taking part in social action, she would not have known. And actually, I think that's the beauty of social action. It's threaded through so many of the values that we instill in ourselves, or school instills in us, or our family instills in us. And I was able to get more involved in my community through education as well, and have a support system to help me do that.
Thank you all for those insights.
And the next question is, and what makes you inspired to empower young people and be yourself? And this question can be to any iwill ambassadors. And who would like to go first?
I'm happy to come in first again. So one of the things that's inspired me and continues to inspire me throughout my own social action journey is knowing some of the challenges that young people face, whether that's in my own community or their own community or across wider regions. Other young people often face challenges and overcome those challenges, and that is something that I find so inspiring. And it gives me the strength to work to empower them to get involved in different pieces of social action that they might not have already been aware of. And so it's really powerful to be able to come together and to talk about these things that we are all passionate about, and to make positive changes around those areas.
Very, very inspiring. Thank you. Claire, any thoughts?
I think Finley has put it so wonderfully. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, everyone.
As ambassadors, it's really nice to see the work that you've been part of. What would you say has helped prevent burnout, especially as it was mentioned in the film that we need to look after ourselves? What things would you say have worked for you? Claire, if we start with you.
So I want to shout out Zizi in the film. She talked about how writing helps her a lot. And actually, throughout my journey, an older ambassador recommended that I started journaling, and that's really helped me process things. You know, if I'm on a train journey back from an event, being able to reflect and get all my thoughts down on paper has been really helpful. I think also if you have a community around you, I think it's so important to interact with young people in a space where you're not feeling like you're having to bring all of your pain to the table. So a family of ambassadors actually have been wonderfully putting together social events for ambassadors to get involved in, so that we have a neutral space to interact with, so it doesn't feel like we're only talking when we're trying really hard to make a change. And so that has been really integral in making my social action sustainable, because I get to learn about what empowers the ambassadors, and learn more about our individual journeys, and it's been really beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they do say that it's really important to journal as a sort of mindfulness technique. How about you, Finley?
Yeah, thank you. I think I share a similar experience to Claire, in the sense that I've been really lucky to be surrounded by so many fantastic people, whether that's family, other ambassadors, or different people throughout my community who've helped me to overcome different periods of burnout, and also made me realize that sometimes it's okay to feel um, a bit down and stressed, but not to worry, because things will get better. There is and will always be light at the other side of the tunnel, and it's been great to have people help me reach that side and to continue this journey.
Yeah, I guess the ups and downs are all part of the process. Tamar, if we have you, what would you say?
I would say something that's really been inspiring towards me is seeing other people step forward and share their stories and do what matters to them. But also, I think a starting point for most people that have gotten into social action is, at one point there was a source of pain. But I think that you have a choice on how you're going to respond to that, and you can you can experience that and fully feel it, but you can also make a change and also use that to fuel your journey onwards. So I would say I'm incredibly lucky to have met all the people that are I Will ambassadors, people that have been striving towards change, and I think it's just a great, positive, inspiring message sent out to everyone when a large group of young people work together towards goals that are slightly different, but ultimately we're working towards the same thing.
Yeah, to have that support network is it's really good. And Kevin, now you've joined us, I'll just repeat the question. It's how do you prevent burnout in social action?
Yeah, I think with social action, you just have to be careful, I suppose, and not getting involved in too much. So like knowing your own limits, knowing like what time you can put aside for your own social action and what you can do. I think it's really tempting to, like, when you're really passionate about something, assign all your time to it, and then you realize that, oh my gosh, I've got so much going on. But yeah, I think just having some like you time as well, so some like what would you call it? Like, I don't know, mindfulness time. So some like meditating really helps me, or some yoga, or even just like simple things like face masks and stuff like that. It's all really useful, I guess, and just um being with yourself and just relaxing, I suppose, and getting that time to really tune off from things.
Thank you for that.
What do you think are the issues that young people are facing that you find most important in you and those you advocate for in your social action? And Tamar, can we come to you first?
Sorry, could you repeat the question? It's
I'll repeat the
slightly
question here.
seemed invisible.
And what do you think are the issues that young people are facing that you find most important for you and those you advocate for in your social action?
Okay, so I think a large issue surrounding young people now could definitely be things to do with antisocial behavior, but not just that, but also not having a healthy outlet to express your feelings and what matters, because everyone has something that matters to them. And I feel as though to help them advocate for that, we can offer things such as this that they can get involved with. And I think a large barrier is people think, oh, no one's really doing it, or no one my age or none of my friends are getting involved in social action, and that can deter them from getting involved because they don't see a role model to look up to. But I think it's very important in that sense to put yourself forward and be the first to do it so that others can see that positive example and think, if they can do it, why can't I?
Absolutely, it's so inspiring, but I think young people should have that role model in their lives, definitely. And Kevin, can I come to you?
Yeah, so for me, I think at the moment there's I guess particularly from like a career experience point of view, there's a massive focus on I guess like young people's voice. So like for a number of years have been like the case where like young people in career weren't particularly heard. So like they weren't involved in decisions that really impacted them. So I guess my social action has been focused around those kind of young people and really focusing on like how do we get their voices at the center of all discussions. So like from everything they're involved in and like all decisions that are being made, like young people are involved in those things. Because like I guess it's really disheartening when decisions are made like and they're outside of control, and things like that. So that's kind of mostly what I focus in on social action. But obviously then there's wider issues of that affect all young people at the moment, like such as the cost of living crisis, stuff like that, and just like lack of youth services, youth funding. So I also volunteer like on the Back Youth Alliance, which is trying to tackle that and get more funding for young people and stuff like that. But and for youth services in general. But it's a massive issue, I suppose, in terms of like services for young people and just getting their voices heard. So yeah, that's kind of what I find really important, is just getting youth voice at the heart of every discussion and really getting them involved in things.
Thank you so much. Finley, and what do you think about it?
Thank you. I think that there's lots and so many different issues and challenges which young people face on all sorts of levels. Again, as Kevin mentioned, on the national level, there's things such as the cost of living crisis and youth voice. Whereas on more local levels, especially in my community, we're lucky to have a piece of research called the 10,000 Voices and Actions, which was designed to capture the voices, views, and opinions of young people from across the region about some of these issues. And this year, the second edition of that was published, and this highlighted some of the issues that were important to young people and some of the things they wanted to learn more about. And this included topics such as, smoking and vaping, diet and body image, the cost of living, the bullying, and also transport. And then something that I also find very, very interesting, something that I'm very passionate to make change around is the situation and environment for young people with additional support needs. And so again, I'm lucky enough to have been part of a group who has in the past organised workshops for young people with additional support needs to capture their views and experiences and being able to take this to policy and decision makers. And so there's lots of issues that continue to impact young people's lives, and it's great to start to make progress and understanding those issues and what needs to change to make young people's lives better.
Thank you so much, Finlay. Claire, and what about you?
Wow, I think so I've been doing a lot of research. I've had the pleasure of doing a lot of research about funding that has gone to support young people in Manchester. And actually, the work that I've been doing quite similarly follows the work that Kevin has been doing, just to make sure that every young person's basic needs are being met. It's very hard to ask a young person or to expect a young person to be engaging with their community if they don't have shelter, if they don't have a bed to sleep in every night, if they don't have food. And so I've been engaging in providing an evidence base so that we can ask for that and make sure that the resources are provided in my area. And it's been really beautiful but heartbreaking experience because, I understand the context so deeply, and it's been really, really interesting to see how like my own identity and where I was raised and how differently young people's experiences are just because their basic needs aren't being met.
Thank you so much, Claire. Very, very inspiring. Thank you, everyone.
So journey was mentioned as a prevalent part of the film, and how we all have our own goals and focuses in our social action. So what are your hopes for the next decade in your social action journey to create change? So if we link back to Claire again, yeah.
Storytelling, whether that's in research or in creating beautiful films like this, I think this really fills me and fills my cup and allows me to really explore what social action looks like for young people in different circumstances. And I hope that first off, I'm very grateful and thankful to iwill for giving me this incredible opportunity, for this platform, to all of the young people who've given their stories so that we can get more young people involved in the movement. And I hope that I get to continue doing this in the next 10 years and actually hopefully train other people to be able to be storytellers too.
Yeah, that's really beautiful. Thank you. How about you, Tamal?
So I started my social action journey, like I mentioned previously, quite small. So it started off in my school and then it developed. So in the future, within the next 10 years, I would just like to continue and explore that more. I think there's people in a large amount of people that are in control and that have the ability to make change are spaces where there's quite a lot of underrepresentation, and I feel like in order to create proactive change in the future, there's no reason why that shouldn't change. And so in the future, I'd like to see high amount of representation, whether that be in Parliament, whether it be in the House of Commons itself, or whether it's just in places of power where more people can be heard, especially young people, because there is sometimes a prejudice made that because they're younger or they're a certain demographic of individual that they're not as qualified to speak on certain issues, and I find that's not true. And by having that mindset as a society, we limit ourselves to the change that we could hear from others and the change that we can recognize that needs to be made.
Yeah, I can definitely relate, and I agree to that too. How about you, Kevin?
Yeah, I think if I had, I guess one goal within the next 10 years would be that to make sure organizations are like basically complete, the work of young people completely youth led. So I think at the moment there's still a lot of youth organizations within different alliances and stuff that I've been part of and different things I've been involved in that still aren't very youth led at the very top. So like a lot of youth charities still don't have board of trustees that have young people in them. Like CEOs aren't exactly young themselves. Like there's different steps of organizations that I think still need to be improved. So I guess I'll keep campaigning to make sure that young people are involved at every step and every decision making and stuff, and get more young people at the top, because at the end of the day, I suppose they're the people that have the experience, and they're the ones that have the key voices and will be the next generation of leaders. And yeah, so I guess if there's one thing would be to, I guess, empower other young people to get to those stages and help them. So I'm now the co-chair of the iwill Fund. So hopefully through that, I'll work with a lot of organizations to help in empowering young people to kind of bring their own voice forward and bring new social action, but also to try and get more of that decision making in place and make it more, I suppose, youth led, and yeah, get voices where they need to be, which is right at the top of organizations rather than, I suppose, being working from the bottom upwards. So yeah, I guess that's my goal, is to be more for organizations to be more youth led and stuff like that. So it's ambitious, but you never know.
It's ambitious, definitely, but it's definitely needed, I'd have to say. So we definitely support you on that. And finally, Finley.
Thank you. I think I'd like to keep my hopes quite vague, and not because that I don't want to. There's not lots of things that I want to see change in the next 10 years, but I want to almost be surprised. And I think one of the main things is that I would hope to be able to help continue to make the difference that we all want to see, whether that's on a local basis, regional or national. And especially today being World Children's Day, I think it's important that, you know, children and young people's rights are progressed, and along with that, youth voice. But again, I'd just quite like to leave it short and sweet and be surprised at what happens over the next 10 years, because as we all know, 10 years is a long time, and so much can change in even just a short, even if it's composed of different little things which make a bigger thing.
Thank you all so much for your insightful views, and I can't wait to the next decade. So now we'll be opening up for the audience questions.
And we got a question from Rory, and it says, and what have you learned from the progress of filming and talking with ambassadors, young and old? And Claire, can we come to you on this question?
Gosh, I could go on and on and on and on. I think it was really special for me to speak to the new 2023 ambassadors to understand where the movement is going, because they're really, really leading us. And I learned so much about what young people of from 10 to 25 are looking for, and the different ways that we engage in social action. You know, we say there's no one way to do social action, but actually, what does that look like? And we had ambassadors who donated their hair and ambassadors who were supporting communities with additional needs to skateboard and creating community in that way. Trying to think of more really interesting examples of how people get engaged in social action. We had young people who have taken their experiences as immigrants and helped to change what that looks like for new young immigrants who come into this country. And so many of the stories that have been shared, I wish I could just share them all. In 10 minutes, I hope to concentrate and get the most essence out of all of the wonderful, wonderful young people who make up the iwill movement. I think the biggest learning for me and the biggest challenge, because I felt challenged in the best way through this process, was how do I present myself as a young change maker, and am I showing actually there are different ways to do social action, and how am I engaging with that? And so actually I made a commitment to showcase more different ways that young people get involved, whether that's giving away my platform or creating films like this, because I think it is so important, and it's been a really insightful journey for me, and it's made me realize how much I want to do this in the future.
Thank you, Claire.
A question from Shivi in the audience. What was the best part about making this film, and equally what was the most challenging? So I think we can start with Claire, and then you can pass that on to the other ambassadors.
I think it's a really unique experience when someone shares their journey, and I really credit to every ambassador who got involved, whether that was being physically in front of the camera or the conversations that led to this film being made. But everyone was so honest, and that honesty about the challenges and the pitfalls of being involved in this work, it really, really helped me tell the story in a really truthful and raw and honest way. And so thank you to everyone who got involved, who was just honest with me and honest with the camera and honest with us all and with themselves about what needs to improve and what we need more of so that we can engage in this work. I think one of the challenges actually was there's just so much. There was so much gold. There was so much great stuff, and making sure that I was telling the right story through these messages for the audience, and particularly I wanted to make sure that this film was accessible to young people who've never engaged in social action, and making sure that it was almost like a guide for those who are getting involved in messages from their future, almost, of what it is like to get involved in social action.
Yeah, I think it's that honesty that really makes social action sincere. How about you, Tamar?
Interestingly enough, I believe the most challenging part of the interviews and making the film also became one of, if not the most enjoyable aspects of it, and that was just being in front of the camera and freely speaking what's on your mind and how you feel about certain topics and issues. And it was very daunting at first, and proved itself to be quite a challenge because it's not every day you put a camera in front of your face and start talking about the fundamentals of what matters to you most and why you do what you do. And it does make you think deeply about what made you start and your true motivations for everything you've done. But once you get speaking, it doesn't really matter if there's a camera there, an audience of one or an audience of 100, or 1,000 or 1,000,000 for that matter, because I just started speaking freely from the heart what I had to say. And I think it started off as a weakness, but very quickly turned into a strength.
Thank you for that. Finley and Kevin, do you have any insights?
Would I be able to jump in quickly on that question? I think one of the best parts of being involved in this process is actually being given the opportunity to reflect. One, on lots of the different experiences that we've had as young people involved in social action, but then also as well getting to just reflect on other people's journeys and hear other people's journeys, because again, it just provides that extra stream of inspiration into our lives, and that itself is so powerful and can just change your day, which can then change your week. Yeah, no, it's really special to have had that opportunity. And then I think as well, also one of the challenges that I've come up in my experience, at least, was actually being honest with myself. It's something that I was quite afraid of at first, because I was like, oh well, I was almost involved in this, but not quite, and then actually realized, oh well, this was my role. And so never downplay your role in action, even if it is a smaller role. It's still so important and valuable.
Yeah, I guess it's all our differences that really unite us by the end of it. And Kevin.
Yeah, I suppose I just shout out what everyone else said, to be honest. But yeah, I think I had really bad, I suppose, social anxiety during COVID and stuff like that. So I wasn't really the person I was. I wasn't really out there and talking to people and getting involved with different organizations and stuff like that, and really struggled to socialize. So I think things like this, like when I went to get videoed, I was like, oh my gosh, I was terrified. And just hearing the work of like other ambassadors, it was kind of like intimidating in a way. You're like, oh my gosh, like they've done all this amazing stuff, but then I suppose when you reflect afterwards, you realize like, well, actually, I've done amazing stuff too. Like we've all done amazing stuff, and so it's really empowering, I suppose, to get involved in those things, and yeah, and hear everyone's stories and stuff. Like I remember when I was doing my recording, I had Troy in front of me, and just hearing the amazing work he did really inspired me to be like, well, you know what, I actually do quite a lot of amazing work myself, and he was a great mentor to be like, you know, like just sell yourself and just say what you do, and just yeah, put forward your social action and stuff like that, and what you are really passionate about. And of course Claire was amazing too in helping and really building up my confidence and stuff like that. So it's definitely great to be part of. I loved it.
Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Kevin. So heartwarming. And the next question is from Erin in the audience. And can you offer some best practice for organisations on how to support, create spaces for youth voice and empowering people to be decision makers? And this question can be for anyone. And Tamar, can we come with you first?
I think it's very important for organisations to essentially treat a young person almost like any other person, not to look down at them or be slightly condescending, even if they don't realise it in their tone and the way they are speaking and dealing with young people. And I feel in that way that can allow the younger person to just freely speak, and everyone's story is their own story, so they should be able to speak about it, shout about it, explore it, and everyone's an expert in their own experience, and that's something no one can ever take away from you. So it's very important for these organizations to create spaces for these young people to speak, and also a platform or some sort of way where their opinions and what they have to say is valued and taken into consideration, because there's a lot we can learn and no one ever knows everything. And if organizations don't listen to these young people, they're cutting themselves off and stopping themselves from hearing a whole wide range of experiences and knowledge that the young generation has to bring to the world.
Thank you so much, Tamar. Finlay, what about you? Have you got any insights?
Definitely. If there's one thing that I could talk about, it's your voice. And so I don't want to keep everyone here the whole night, so I'll maybe just focus on one thing. I think it's so important that you make these spaces comfortable for young people. And there's lots of different ways that you can do that, and there's lots of different approaches that organizations take. And for that, I'd just like to focus on one aspect of that, in that in order to make young people feel listened to and valued, organisations need to do their part in providing a feedback loop within Youth Voice. And so if a young person tells you something or provides insight into issues or topics that you're facing, well, then it's your role to then go back and say, oh, well, what you've done with that information, how you've taken that information and changed it into action. And it's something that so many organisations unfortunately forget about. And if you don't have that aspect of it, then, well, young people might go, well, actually, is my participation valued? Should I be going along to these spaces and sharing my voice if they're not listened to? And it's so, again, it's just such an important aspect of it, of Youth Voice, that it's very difficult to have effective youth participation without it. But I don't want to keep everyone here for so long, but thank you very much.
Oh, thank you so much, Finlay.
Can I jump in as well? I think what Finlay said was so true. And there's so much research as well to back that up. I would also like to add, whether you're working with children or young people engaging in this space, it's really important to remember that we are children or young people. And so the best experiences that I've had have always been where I'm allowed to be a young person or a child in this space. And I think that's something that often gets neglected. But if you're working with young people who have lived experience of a lot of poor things, then it's important that you supplement those experiences with good ones. And I've had some really incredible youth work when I'm just sitting around a campfire making s'mores or doing archery or just sitting at a restaurant and talking with the other young people who are in this space and in this community as well.
Oh, that's great. Kevin?
Yeah, I think like it's key for organizations, I suppose, to find out where like young people aren't currently being like met. So like where they're not currently using services, and like really like shine a light on that and making sure that like more resources are put into those areas and getting those kind of voices within those areas. Because I think it's like a lot of projects we see that like there's overrepresentation of people from like big cities, big towns. Like I don't think rural communities and stuff like that really have enough resources with like across the UK in general to have enough resources there. So like young people don't have those spaces, and this goes back to what Claire talked about earlier on, is that like the spaces just aren't there. And that like so I think that's the first step, is getting spaces there where young people can actually be comfortable. And then going back on what Finlay said, those spaces have to be comfortable and like I guess open to young people and what they want in terms of a safe space and what to share their voice and feel free to lead. And it's just about, I guess, making young people aware that leadership comes in many forms and that you can make change on the smallest level. Like we make decisions on a daily basis. Like we're all decision makers, so we can all be part of those decisions. And it's about, I suppose, yeah, just empowering young people and making sure they know that in the smallest way possible, they are a decision maker no matter what. So yeah, I think that's I guess the key driver within organizations. They need to like realize that.
Thank you so much, everyone, and thank you so much for the questions, audience. It's really much appreciated. And this takes us to the end of our session. We want to say a huge thank you for attending, and we hope that you found it fun and enjoyable. Today's session is just one of the many events and activities being delivered for this year's iwill Week. So please make sure to visit iwill.org.uk to see the full listing of events. Tomorrow's events are led by iwill ambassadors looking at deaf awareness and removing barriers to youth social action. If you enjoyed today's session, please tell people about it by sharing it on your social media, tagging iwill Movement, hashtag iwillweek23, and hashtag Power of Youth on all your social media channels. Anyone can join the iwill Movement, so please invite young people, adults, organisations to visit the Get Involved section on the iwill website. That's it from us. Thank you again.